Euro currency continues to trade the range, hovering between 105 and 106, really going back all the way to the end of April. We'll call on April 28th. The front month June dipped below 105 briefly before rallying back above it, and it has really pretty much spent the majority of the time there. It did sneak above 106 after FOMC, but quickly reversed track, and today we ended up trading the range 105 to 106, ending on the high side near 106. Didn't quite get there today. But some news came out, some whisper talk that the ECB was possibly going to be a bit more hawkish in their delivery in July. Part of the reason why we saw the euro rally a little bit here, but ultimately continues to hover in that range as the ECB remains on the bench while the Fed and the UK and the Bank of England continue to raise rates. It'll be interesting to see what happens at these upcoming ECB meetings. Now, what does this all mean for volatility? Well, if you check out that CVOL index over at cmegroup.com, you'll notice that volatility did decline a little bit going into at the end of last week as we continue to trade the range. Today, we didn't see a whole lot of movement. Everything traded kind of sideways. Again, all is going to be contended on whether we see a shift from the ECB, whether we see some shift in the economic data. A lot of that could play a role, likely also the dollar, which remains very strong, although it was down slightly today. Still, the dollar still remains on its recent highs. So a lot can happen here over the coming weeks and months, but volatility really not showing any fear, remaining hovering sideways. Lastly, let's talk about the positioning. What are those speculators doing? Well, the speculators ahead of last week's FOMC meeting were net long, and they got out. So they were exiting their longs and now are net short. So it's be interesting to see what happens as we continue to trade this range. Have speculators been adding to those shorts, or did they cover up and maybe get flat ahead of a lot of uncertainty here as we continue to trudge forward, reading through the economic data, what the central banks might do, the rising geopolitical risks, you name it, it's out there. So it'll be interesting to see what the speculators are doing at this week's number. We get this week's reading from the CFTC on Friday, which will carry us through the early part of this week. So the euro currency continues to trade the range, hovering between 105 and 106 after briefly dipping below 105 back on April 28th. Hasn't seen a whole lot of movement since.